Hello everyone and welcome to another movie review on the Real Chase Lee channel live, and that's me, Chase Lee. And if you are watching live, you can comment in the place below my face and you can ask me questions about the movie, or if you want to troll me, I really don't care. You can do whatever you want, but I will fight back. So I'm here to review Mr. Holmes. I'm looking at my phone, not my crotch. I'm sorry. Mr. Holmes stars Ian McKellen as Sherlock Holmes, and the plot reads: an aged, retired Sherlock Holmes looks back on his life and grapples with an unsolved case involving a beautiful woman. And that's pretty much it. It also stars Laura Linney and then a bunch of other people I forgot. I'm sorry. This movie kind of shocked me in a good way, though. Let me explain. I'm not like the biggest Sherlock Holmes fan. I'm really not. And people tell me to watch the Sherlock series with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, and I'll get around to it. I like Cumberland, but I'll get around to it. And I'm not like the biggest fans of the Robert Downey Jr. ones or any of the other adaptations. I like detective stories, and I think they're very cool for children and stuff. I know I probably just pissed off a lot of people. I'm sorry. I've always just found that Sherlock Holmes was, I remember reading the Hardy Boys and stuff, and I remember reading stuff like that. Is that what they're called? I forgot. So I remember reading detective stories and stuff, and I do like certain aspects of Sherlock Holmes in the movies and stuff with Robert Downey Jr. and stuff. I think they're very fun and entertaining. But this was a different one. Basically, Ian McKellen plays a guy who is named Sherlock Holmes in this universe, to where he's been solving crimes and stuff, and there are people out there that will take his image and put him with the corncob pipe and with the hat and the coat and stuff, and basically make him into a fictional detective, to where it's not really based on his life. It's just more of the name and kind of something people created based off of his life and his person and stuff. So I found that really interesting. And so all this movie is Sherlock Holmes is coming back from a trip from Japan, and there's a housekeeper there played by Laura Linney. She's got a son named Roger, and basically there was a case that made Sherlock Holmes want to quit. So we don't really know what this case was. We don't know what went down. So throughout this whole movie, we time jump. When he gets back from Japan, there's that time. Then we jump back to when he was approached with this case that made him ultimately quit. And then, of course, we see bits and pieces from that trip to Japan and just why he was there and stuff. And I got to tell you, man, this was such a great surprise. It was a breath of fresh air. The one downfall, I will say, it's an extreme slow burn, but if you stick with it, this has got some really great moments that, first of all, I was like, this movie's PG. This is a dark thing that's happening. What's going on? So let's break this down. It's directed by Bill Condon, the guy that directed the last two Breaking Dawn movies from Twilight. Anyways, he directs this very quiet movie. It's a very, very quiet movie. All it does is it takes place at this one house primarily, and then when they flash back, it even takes place in just another house in that location. So it's only 3 or 4 locations, and it's just Ian McKellen and this little kid Roger talking most of the time, and this little kid's curious as to what his last case was and why he wanted to quit and stuff. And so he's basically just explaining everything, and Sherlock Holmes is losing his memory in this, so it's kind of really sad to watch. But it's a very quiet movie, like I said, and it's just them two talking and just explaining why he retired ultimately and why Watson left, and just things happen and stuff. And I thought it was just a nice, refreshing take on the Sherlock Holmes myth and lore that I completely forgot I was watching a Sherlock Holmes movie. That's how unique and fresh it was. So I got to give huge props to Bill Condon for that, because it's something super different that you're never going to even see. I did not know it was based on a book. I have not read the book. I apologize, but it is based off of something I've written before. I don't know where I was going with that. As you guys can tell, I'm very literate. But anyways, I just thought it was such a unique take on the Sherlock Holmes character. and stuff. That I gotta give Bill Condon props, man. It was actually really well done. I loved the acting. It was super strong. And this one, I loved Ian McKellen as Sherlock Holmes. I just loved the story. It was very intriguing and very dark and depressing at some moments. I was like, this is amazing. But dear Lord, it just like takes your heart out and squeezes it and just slices it with a knife and then glues it back together with Elmer's and then puts it back in your chest. That's what Bill Condon did to you in a couple scenes. It was really effective. So the directing was super strong. Like I said, the only like problem I have, and I'll get like it goes with the editing, is that it's very, very slow. It really is. But if you're intrigued by the story and what's going on, I think you won't have any problems with it. But I did feel a drag in a couple of parts. Even though I was intrigued, I felt a drag, and I was like, okay, Bill, let's pick this up just a hair. But other than that, like, his directing is very strong in this one. So the acting, like I said, Laura Linney does a great supporting role. I mean, her character is not really doing much per se, but there is a purpose there, and so the little kid's purpose is there. It's just, you know, they're not really fleshed out that much. It's more about Sherlock Holmes. I understand that. But you have to have a great supporting cast. I actually like the case that made him quit. The wife in the mystery or whatever was really good. Like, there was a lot of depth there, and like there wasn't really much screen time for her. So I thought that was really powerful stuff. So there are some supporting actors that really killed it in their roles. There were just some of them like Laura Linney and the kid where I was like, okay, they're there, but I mean, it's just not really, you know, much. But I do love and appreciate the performances, especially from Ian McKellen. He kills in this role. And I even like the little kid. He's a great actor. His character is just, you know. But the acting is fantastic. The cinematography is actually really good. It's really clean. A lot of beautiful wide shots. Like I said, most of the stuff takes place in houses and stuff. So it's unique angles and stuff, but there's really nothing fancy. Like there's, you know, one scene that stuck out in particular. This might be a bad thing, but like Holmes is at his desk writing the story, and it cuts to like 5 different angles. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You really shouldn't cut to that many angles all at once. But I thought it worked because it kept the suspense rolling, if you will. So I thought it was effective. But people might find that some of the cinematography is unnecessary on how many shots it does cut to, which gets me into the editing. Now listen, this is a slow freaking movie. It's like literally lighting a cigarette, not smoking it, and just watching it burn. It is that slow, folks. But I found it intriguing. I was intrigued by the mystery of why Holmes wanted to quit. It's, like I said, it's really dark and depressing. Which is, guys, I'm thinking about it right now, and it's like, this was a PG-rated movie. God. But as far as the editing goes, slow burn. But shots like that where he's at his desk and it flips to 5 different angles to where it does kind of trick your mind into moving faster, even though it's really not. It's still really slow, but when you cut to different angles, it makes it seem like it's going faster. So I think that might have been his intention. So I'm just warning you ahead of time, folks. It's pretty slow. But overall, this was a huge surprise. I love the story. It's a very simple story, but I loved it. It explained a lot of character depth that was going on in Holmes and why he is the way he was, and why he kind of left on a sour note in his career, and why he left, and this relationship with this kid, and teaching him about bees. And I know it sounds kind of weird and awkward, but he does like teach him a lot of lessons with bees and stuff, with life and stuff. So it's just really strong acting. It's a really cool, simple story, a unique take on Sherlock Holmes. So it was great. It might be slow for some people. It was definitely slow for me in some parts, but I still enjoyed it. This was a nice surprise, guys. I really liked it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. That's how much I liked it. Not a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes, but this movie did it for me because it was something different. So 9 out of 10 for Mr. Holmes for me. If this one's around you and you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes, or you're just a fan of Ian McKellen, or you're a fan of trying new things and trying out stuff, give this movie a go, man. I think it's totally worth it. And it's not going to be my top 10, but I highly enjoyed it for what it was, and that's why I'm going to give it the 9 out of 10. But there's just so many movies that I've seen this year to where the top 10 list is still pretty locked down so far. I don't know. Mr. Holmes might sneak on there, but as far as I'm right now concerned, 9 out of 10. It's a fantastic surprise, folks, especially for the summer in the midst of all the blockbusters and stuff. I love myself a blockbuster, as you guys can tell, but I do like the quieter, smaller movies, and I think this one knocks it out of the park. So have you seen Mr. Holmes, or have you even heard of it? Comment in the place roll up on my face and let me know. And as always, thanks for watching another movie review on Real Chase Lee YouTube channel. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. Let me play the outro music. And this was live. No one asked any questions, so I guess I'll go. I'll go cry in a corner now. Thank you, guys. I love you. See you later.